What is going on, people? Welcome to Throwdown, episode 102. I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and I'm joined by Chris Seeley.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Carlos Romero.
Hey, what up?
Brett Murdock.
Howdy, folks.
Adam Vale.
FIFA drops next week.
The returning one, Emilio Lopez.
Hello, guys. How you doing?
And we got a very special guest today, Mr. It's AreezGamer, right?
Yes, it is AreezGamer.
Enrique from Basement Radio Arcade Podcast. What's going on, brother?
Not much, Tony. Gentlemen, thank you for having me on. I'm excited to be on the Throwdown tonight.
Yes, man. All right, we're going to get to know you a little bit better, but before we do that, a little bit of sad news. So, Manny, there was a specific reason you couldn't join us on the last episode. Can you, we already let the fans know, but we want you to tell them this time.
Yeah, on Friday, we found out that my girlfriend's mother passed away.
What?
So,
Ooh,
yeah, she had been in the hospital for about 3 weeks for, she was having some sort of lung problems, which was causing all kinds of other issues. And she passed away from something. They were saying, things are looking okay. I mean, but she just passed away from a brain aneurysm. What they had her apparently in like a coma to help her, so they could have the machine breathe for her. And they said there was early Friday, they were saying her brain activity was getting low, and then by 2 p.m. she had passed away, like brain dead. And then the thing that even made it worse is because whenever you don't have people there, usually they'll keep your system alive until somebody who can make a decision.
Family or someone,
Yeah.
So she was dead, but she was still alive. So then it's like dying twice. It was the worst thing ever. We just kind of took the weekend. We were supposed to go visit, but unfortunately we didn't, at that point in time. So she's doing a lot better. We had a friend come over, who had gone through a very similar situation with his own mother. Now, I've mentioned him on the show a couple of times, Mark, and his mom passed away in a similar fashion. So, we're doing a lot better now, but, like everything, it's a, day by day. By the way, fuck 2016.
Yes, all day, every day, man. Horrible fucking year,
Yeah, man.
That's fucking ridiculous. That's like essentially the second member of our extended family of Throwdown here. If you think about it, fuck, man, some bullshit. But
well, I say one thing to go out with, just not to bring the things out, but always appreciate the people around you. Don't let these don't let something like a funeral or a death make you reconnect with family or friends. Mm-hmm. Always go out there, even if you haven't talked to Joe Schmo, in 10 years, give him a call, see how he's doing, because you never know.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
That's true. Life is short, man. Life is short.
Exactly.
What was it? Manny, I've almost died like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, man.
So.
Yeah, I mean, like the Adams, the takes a look and keeps on taking.
Yeah,
man.
I've been hit by 2 cars, a van, collapsed lung, water in my right knee. I had all kinds of accidents. Hell, then I almost got stabbed. Remember that time on 42nd Street?
Yeah.
And you realized it. I didn't realize it, but that guy was following us for like 2 or 3 blocks.
Mm-hmm.
He was right behind me. So who knows what the fuck he wanted to do?
Yeah, it's just especially with stuff like that. It's just like you never know if this stuff is going to happen. Yeah.
Terrible. All right, so we're going to abruptly switch gears here. So we're going to talk about the contest. So apparently, we started it last week on episode 101. It was too hard for you guys. Nobody got it initially, right? So I was like, it was too brutal, Adam, So what I did was like, fuck it. Here's a full screenshot. Google search it. I don't give a fuck. I need somebody to win this shit, So yay, we finally got a winner. Mauricio, you get a copy of Console War. Look how deep I'm into the book. I'm almost done with it. 12 more chapters.
Damn.
I'm blowing through this. It's great, man. I'm going to tell a little story about it afterwards because I'm at the part where shit just fucks up for Sega big time, man. Like, by the way, this is how serious I am about this shit. I'm in bed last night thinking about this shit and getting upset. I couldn't go to sleep.
Fucking Sega.
Over shit that happened 23 years. I'm like, you motherfuckers, man. You could have destroyed Nintendo and you fucked up. Oh my God. So anyway, congratulations to Mauricio. I'm going to send you this book just like with everybody else, you know, at the end of the month, you know, once we finish it. So for today's episode, what we're going to do is something for the MP3 listeners, because they were like, hey, what about us? Even though I already told you what the deal was, people were like, what about us? What about us? So you're going to get your chance. We're going to play a music clip from a Sega Genesis game, and you guys let us know what it is, you know, simple as that. All right.
We'll try to make it a little bit more passable, because apparently you guys are too young to remember things. Here's the thing, you know, with that Lethal Enforcers one, you could still where we cropped it, for some reason you could still do a Google search on it. If you know, for some reason, like I would pull it into the thing and I could never get it to a point where it would never pull up the game. It always pulled up the game, even if you know. I think we posted it at some point. You could literally just put Google search on it and see what happened. And for me, it would always find it.
Well, you have the power.
Yeah. So.
When you got the glow, you feel like you.
Yeah. Well, we'll make it a little bit more. The thing will be a little easier than the last time.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So Enrique, let's get to know you a little better. So as I always ask our guests, especially first timers, tell us where it all started, man. Gaming origin story.
Oh man, holy shit! We can cuss on this podcast, right? I just want to make sure.
No,
yeah,
don't curse, man.
That is exactly the reason why we have the warning at the beginning of our show.
We have that warning for a reason, because if somebody comes to us and go, "Hey, our kid tried to listen to us first so much," did you check the fucking warning? Why'd you bring your bitch ass kid here?
I just want to make sure I've been on other podcasts where I've like said "fuck" and like, "Oh, you can't say that." So.
You mean Mullis's show, right?
Yes, exactly. Just one podcast. Oh man, so I started gaming back in 1980. Oh man, probably 82.
All right.
Yeah, so I was 5 years old, man, and my dad had gone out and bought the Atari, and I started playing Space Invaders, and from there it was just downhill. Atari, ColecoVision, Nintendo. Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis. When I was dead broke, I couldn't. Anyhow, yeah. I mean, seriously. I mean, it started in '82, and it's crazy because I don't know. I would watch my dad and my sister play. My sister's 7 years older than me. I'm 39, and I just picked up the controller one day, turned on the Atari, and I was just playing Space Invaders. And I would sit there, and I remember I was so focused. It was crazy. And I still remember this. I was just playing Space Invaders. I remember how the little like Space Invader characters would like come down real fast.
Yeah.
To try to shoot them all real quick. But that's how I got my start in gaming, and I never looked back. And it's something that even at 39, I'm still very passionate about. I love doing. I have a 7-year-old son and a 2-year-old son. And they have, well, the 2-year-old really can't game. I give him a controller with no batteries now, and he pretends he's gaming.
Yeah, that's what you do with kids, man.
I have a 4-year-old, and she doesn't want to game. She just like watches her little YouTube videos and stuff like that. So
yeah, but the 7-year-old, it's crazy. He beat Abzu on PlayStation 4. We were both playing it. I let him play it, and he ended up beating it. But it was cool. It was a cool bonding experience, and I'm glad that he definitely has an interest in gaming. He actually bought a book about had something to do with game releases for 2016. He bought it at like a book fair to school. And he brought it home. He's like, "Look what I got," and it's just cool. It's a cool experience. So I love it, man.
So was that book before or after the delays?
It was before the delays, actually. So.
Oh, by the way, Enrique, when your son gets a little older, you may want to have him read this Console War.
Yeah.
I'm plugging the shit out.
Well, by the time he gets old enough, there'll be a whole different one now. It'll be the Microsoft and Sony,
Might be Google in there. Who knows?
Google. My God, and Apple and shit. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And the other thing I want to ask you is, how did you get started with this whole like gaming podcastery stuff. You know?
So yeah, that's an interesting story too. So I was on Twitter, and Mike Mullis from Original Next Level Gaming was looking for a co-host, and I reached out to him and did a couple podcasts, and then I think the lack of cursing is what made me think, you know what, I got to do my own shit. So it's interesting. I noticed that there was a lot of like fan podcasts, like podcasts that would be like like Sony podcasts or Xbox podcasts, and they wouldn't talk about the brand they were supporting. They would bash the other brand, and I'm like, what? Wait a minute. So I said, the hell with that. I said, I want to do my own thing, and try to be a positive voice in the community, and so that's how Basement Radio Arcade got started. I did that, and we've I've had some great community support, and have some great co-hosts. We have John from Super Deformed Gamecast is one of our co-hosts. We have B Money 101, who's from the Inner Circle podcast, is one of our co-hosts. We have Eric Jackson, who's one of the senior writers at Real Game Media, and I've almost been doing this for a year now. In that time, and I don't have a big following by any stretch of the imagination. I think we have like almost 300 subs right now, but we had David Jaffe on, man.
Yeah, that's insane, bro.
Yeah, I mean, we had the guy behind Twisted Metal and God of War on as a guest, and we got to interview him. I mean, it was insane. We had Ryan McCaffrey on.
Oh, yeah, that's a good guy, man.
Yeah, Ryan's a good dude. And then this Friday we're gonna have Greg Kasavin from Super Giant Games. So, yeah, man, I just it's a labor of love, and so we're having fun doing it. And we, again, it was Basement Radio Arcade was just started to offer gamers different perspective, and really just a platform or forum where everyone, no matter what system you play on, could come in and just feel like, hey, you know what, we're all gamers at the end of the day, because we are, so
yeah. No, I'm glad you said that specifically, because there are a lot of channels out there that it's like, okay, I'm a PlayStation channel, but they don't even talk about PlayStation, they just bash Xbox.
Exactly.
And then vice versa, so we need more leveled fucking podcasts like ours, basically,
Yeah, exactly, because at the end of the day, I mean, we're all gamers, and we all game, we all enjoy gaming, and gaming should be about having fun. And this whole console war shit is just it's just out of control.
Yeah, and it's gonna keep getting crazier, man. I'm telling you.
Oh, I'm sure it will. I'm seeing it right now. It's unfolding in front of my eyes.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, man. We'll get into that later, but it's ridiculous. But
it's been around since even when Nintendo and Sega. I remember, I had a Nintendo and then go to someone else's house, and that's what I'm saying. It's always been there. It's just on a hyper level now, thanks to social media.
Yeah.
Now everyone has an outlet to talk about what they were seeing to their, local buddies in the park or in school about their console. Now they're telling the world.
Yeah, but the thing is like back in the days, people now are like keyboard warriors,
Yeah.
They just, or as Eric on Basement Radio says, he calls them thumb thugs, but it's like, they can say some really like terrible shit. I mean, I saw John, Mr. Negative, he's a former Marine, served his country, was wounded in combat. And someone said to him, "You're not a patriot."
Wow. Yeah, he told us that story.
Ridiculous, yeah, because he owns a PlayStation 4. I'm like, are you serious?
Oh, he's pulling that whole Japanese shit.
Yeah. It's ironic because the fucking Xbox is also made in fucking like China.
It's made in China. Yeah. It's made by that one company that makes all the consoles.
Foxconn. Yeah.
Foxconn.
I remember the big deal was like the 360 was made in Mexico, so they were like, "Oh, it's in North America."
Wow, will you fucking see these guys, man? They try to find any little thing.
Yeah, they'll find a reason.
It's like, really, you're bringing patriotism into this now? How fucking stupid is that?
Oh, it's real stupid, man. So, yeah, it's just unfortunate, but you're right. I mean, we had this in the playground. I mean, I remember, Sega does when Nintendo don't. You know, I remember those
Yeah.
commercials.
Like, exactly. It's like, oh well, I'm playing Shinobi. It's like, what? Like, all right, I don't have Shinobi.
Exactly.
It's like, it's not
I remember someone's like, "Oh, I'm playing Space Harrier." I'm like, "What's that? Let me come to your house and play it, though."
Yeah, that was
there you
it.
go.
Yeah.
Now you'd be like, "Oh, Space Harrier. That's not on my system. I think it's fucking trash. Have you played it? No, but it's trash."
Exactly.
You
Yeah,
know,
but I
this
think
is-
that's
Go
that's
ahead.
the difference between gaming back then and now. You are willing to go to your friend's house
Yeah.
and play his game. Now it's become the fandoms have become so poisonous almost, where they refuse to touch or insult you if you have the opposite system that they have.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy, man. I don't get it, but like I said, it's gonna get worse, and this is part of the reason. All right, so this week, some guys from Microsoft, I think Pinello was one of them, a couple other people. So they were boasting about how the Scorpio is gonna have true 4K, native 4K, whatever, whereas the PlayStation 4 Pro won't. It's got to upscale and all this other stuff, right? So I just wanted to, get your thoughts on that, because my thing is like, okay, you're kind of slightly shooting yourself in the foot by saying that you're not going to deliver uncompromised 4K like Phil Spencer is going to have. Let's just be honest about that. Something's going to have to give, so when something does give, what are they going to say to backtrack that? Yeah, you're going to have 4K, but where's the 60 frames? What about all this extra lighting and all this other shit? Is it going to have all that? It's like, nah. And then the other thing is like, are you going to be able to deliver this at an affordable price? Because we talk about, it's like just a graphics card that they're talking about is going to cost like $500. So you think the console is just going to cost $500? No, it's going to be more than that. And I don't know, it's crazy. So what do you guys think about all this?
Have they even said
shit?
it's a console?
They
have not called it a console. They've called it the Scorpio. So
that's a great question.
This is like this. That's what I'm thinking. Like what we talked about before, like that whole Alienware comparison. This is a whole other beast that we're gonna see here, And I think it really is gonna be more of a real gaming PC / normal PC hybrid, in the shape of a console box, but it's not gonna be referred to as a console.
That would be very interesting. I don't know, because you're right. They haven't called it a console. Everybody's just assuming it's a console, But my thing is, I don't think they're going to be able to deliver what they're promising. Not at that fucking price,
Yeah, and so they said that they're going to do 4K native uncompromised, right?
Yes.
So that's just a promise they can't keep, and like I don't know why they would set themselves up for just getting bombarded like next year when like most of the AAA games are not going to be 4K uncompromised games, because we can tell if they're uncompromised or not when we compare them to the PC version when those come out. And
yeah,
and
it's always going to be like that. We're always going to compare to the PC, and the PC is always going to win. It's like
yeah. And then the other interesting thing Microsoft said was that developers will have the choice if they want to have 60 frames, they don't need to be 4K. What does that tell you? It means you can't have both. That's what it tells you. And think about this. Okay, this is coming out 2017, right? 4K, I know it's getting big now, but it's not going to be that much bigger in 2017. I'm pretty sure developers are going to be like, okay, do I want to put 4K for TVs that most people don't even have, or am I going to put 60 frames a second? Which one do you think is going to win out?
60 frames.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I mean, frame rate is king. I've been saying that for a long time now. I mean, it's interesting because they've even said we're not mandating 4K to developers. So that kind of, for me, answers kind of a piece of the puzzle of not all games are going to be native 4K. I mean, obviously, I think the first party stuff's going to be 4K. They've alluded to that, but uncompromised, well, what does that mean? They're not. They need to kind of expand on what that actually means. I mean, you can run Firewatch. I'll use Firewatch for example. You can run Firewatch uncompromised 4K, 60 frames a second, but but look at Firewatch. I mean, it's not the most graphically demanding game.
right.
You don't have a bunch of AI on the screen at one time.
Yeah, it's like they're saying their first party studios are going to do native 4K. So how the hell are they going to do Halo 6? Like, is Halo 6 going to be looking as good as is making it native 4K like worth it if it means that they're going to have to dumb down their textures, or their shadows or their lighting. Like,
yeah, that's a great point. It's like, it seems to me like we're trying to move to 4K without, really needing to. Like, why not put that extra horsepower into, like you said, make it smoother, maybe make better AI, shit like that,
Yeah, better lighting.
Well, what was it? The story that I heard before is like that the TVs nowadays, everyone's getting these large TVs, and the whole thing with that is the new large TVs with the 4K gaming just doesn't look right on it. Yeah, most of them will have a gaming mode with the settings, but it's more of like what it's supporting from the feed, and it's the console. So I think that's why they're focusing on it, because they are seeing that down the road everyone's going to have one, and if not, they're going to need to prepare for it because it is going to go in that direction. It's sort of like how we just jumped into 1080p. We're all talking 1080p. That's just the norm. So I guess they're all trying to say like that's going to be the norm.
But I feel like we even this generation have hit really 1080p. I think there's been compromises there. I mean, I think with, even with the PlayStation 4 Pro and the Scorpio to an extent, I'd actually like to see them take that extra horsepower and really focus on graphics.
The one thing about this whole situation is everybody's getting into the minutia of talking about boxes, but nobody's talking about how these things are going to improve the actual games. Like what did we see at the PlayStation show? We really didn't see a damn thing. Did you see a difference? Other than the fact that one Spider-Man trailer was in such a high resolution that nobody could see it in 1080p, a 1080p on a friggin' compressed.
There's an answer for that, Manny. It's called the remasters. People love buying remasters, and to your point, they don't change anything really. It's just pretty.
They don't. The thing is that they're only for a lot of remasters. They don't really do a damn thing. They're just running it. They're just running the game at a higher resolution without actually improving any of the texture work or any of that stuff. Yep. The thing is about all these games is like, okay, these things can run these things at 4K, but some of them can run it at 4K or whatever. But the thing is, it really isn't because the actual textures were not done for that resolution. So the games will still not look as great as they could if they were actually done that way. So it's like we're getting all into like, what these boxes can do, but I want to see some fucking games. What that stupid PlayStation conference? What the fuck did we see? The same old shit that we saw. Same old shit. It was nothing there. I mean, nothing new, no new games, no nothing. So it's like, okay, here's a bunch of old games that you knew that were coming already in this seen in this way that nobody can actually see on the internet. Come on, guys.
Yeah, that was really stupid.
One thing when talking about Xbox, so the Xbox Scorpio is going to be around maybe 4 times as powerful as the Xbox One.
No, actually 6 times more powerful.
6 times,
yeah.
So
it's on steroids.
It kind of fits, but so the Xbox One couldn't do 1080p native.
Yeah.
And 4K is 4 times the resolution as 1080p. So I don't see like how much confidence that gives us when they do these promises.
Yeah, and at 6 teraflops too.
Yeah. I mean, they're all marketing promises. The problem is like the tech has to measure up to the advertising, right? So AMD released their roadmap. Mm-hmm. So we're looking at we're at the Polaris chip now, right? And the Polaris, I think, maxes out just under 6 teraflops. But that's for the most expensive AMD cards. They're looking at releasing the Vega next year. That has the promise of doing 10 teraflops. But that is going to release next year. It's probably going to be uber expensive. So unless they're going to use an underclocked Vega in the Scorpio, they're going to have to go with a Polaris, right? Either they keep the cost down by using a Polaris now, and hopefully they can overclock it so it runs at 6 teraflops, which if that's what they're going to do, then it's not going to run native 4K. I don't care what they do to it.
It'll run Geometry Wars fine, but...
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Can't wait for that.
That's why you Firewatch the example. There's probably going to be some games. Yeah, they could say we're going to run native 4K, but it may not be the kind of games that some people think that are going to be native 4K. It might be something that on a smaller scale.
It ain't
some of these bigger AAA games are going to be upscaled.
It's insane, man. They're just talking all this stuff, and obviously, the super fanboys are eating it up and using it as ammo in their console war, as always. The latest thing now is that just switching gears slightly. So Forza Horizon 3 is coming out pretty soon, right? Actually, on the Coalition, Richard reviewed it. He gave it 96. He really liked the game, right? So now they're trying to say that the Xbox version of the game is better than the PC version because it has HDR. 30 frames a second, but it's still better.
And it's a racing game.
And
I mean,
it's a racing game.
It's a racing game.
I'm not going to comment on that. I would take 60 frames a second. I'll leave it at that on a PC.
No, but HDR, man, that's the new hotness now,
But see, that's the thing. That's what Manny was saying earlier. Like, I think, and we've talked about this on BRAP. It's like, I think a lot of people are getting lost in this idea of 4K resolution and power. But at the end of the day, how does that improve our gaming experiences? Outside visually. I mean, what are we getting out of this? How is it improving gameplay? Gameplay is king.
Yeah,
when it's all said and done.
Yeah, it's not improving shit. Let's just be honest, But again, these guys are using it for the for the console war because they always need something, Now it's our console is going to have actual 4K. Yours isn't. It's like, come on, shut the fuck up. Neither is really going to have 4K like that unless they're running some shitty ass games, or some like you said, like Geometry Wars or some nonsense like that.
Yeah, and even if they do manage to pull it off, let's say they're able to deliver uncompromised, and then then the conversation needs to be about price. That's why, look, I'm excited. I was one of those guys at E3. I was excited to hear the announcement, but I'm also have realistic expectations as a consumer that this thing, if it's firing on all cylinders, probably could be more money than I'm willing to spend on a console right now.
Yeah. I guarantee you it's going to. Remember, it's a premium console, right? And like Adam said before the show, it's premium. 3DO prices, $700, maybe even more, Nobody knows how much this shit's going to cost, but
here's the other thing. In order to have a new console or whatever they want to have, they have to use something to help sell it. What can they use to sell it? Because Gears is already coming now. They're saying Scorpio's next year. You're going to have another Gears? I doubt it.
Does
Halo, is even that going to work? I don't even think that's going to work. They're going to need some killer IP to smack on this and help boost it. Because that was the thing with Xbox. What saves Xbox?
That's coming.
No, it's not. Forza still.
Halo 3 anniversary. There you go. That's going to be it.
I don't know if Halo has that fan base anymore.
I mean, but we got it in the Master Chief Collection pretty much.
It's just all the people like on my Xbox.
Actually, I know what's coming because I did make a prediction about this. Gears of War 2 HD, the mega one. Because I predict every single year, Coalition is going to come out with a new game, right? Because they had Gears of War remaster, right? Then you had Gears 4, then you're going to have Gears 2 remastered, then Gears 5, and then Gears 3 remastered, so on. Because they're they're the Gears company now.
I think there's going to be spin-offs. I think they're going to keep going with that direction. They're expanding the world with this one.
I can't wait for Judgment 2, man.
It'll be something like
Judgment 2. Oh my god!
It's the same thing that Halo did, ODST and stuff. They went into those spin-offs.
But they're not gonna release a Gears every year. I mean,
they already did it 2 years in a row. What's to stop them doing 3?
Well, like actual Gears games, not
actual
remasters.
Yeah. Hey guys, real quickly, I want to ask you a question about related to Gears. Do you guys think Gears is bigger than Halo now?
Oh, that's a good question.
Of course it is.
I think
that's a really good question.
I think so. I think the thing is because since the last Gears that was made by Epic, there hasn't been any more Gears games. There's been 2 Halo games that have been made by the other guys. So these guys have kind of a high. They still have the legacy of the previous games.
Yeah.
To kind of fall back on. Now it just means now we have to see if these guys can actually live up to the legacy.
Yeah, the other thing you have to consider is why it's a great question, because Halo, yes, it's a legendary franchise or whatever, but when did it start? 2001, basically, right? Gears of War has been around since 2006. It's newer, basically, so it's more exciting for people,
And not only that, but Gears has always been the standard for third person shooting when it comes to
Yeah.
gameplay. Every time you talk about like Uncharted and The Order and games like that, it's like, well, is the gameplay as good as Gears? Halo is an FPS, and we're littered with first person shooters. Like, there's so many first person shooters that are like as popular as Halo, or even more popular in Call of Duty's case. And that's why I think Gears is kind of moving its way up, because it's more like high tier when it comes to like the gaming part of the franchise.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because there was a time where if you were talking about first-person shooters, like, is it as good as Halo? Halo is not the be all end all of
There's a lot of competition now.
Yeah, there's a lot, but when it comes to like cover shooters, Gears is still the king.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Kill Switch. Oh man, but yeah, like I said, it's just like we talked about before the show, and it's just getting so stupid now. It's like instead of focusing on like games and how can we make our games better, it's just about fucking resolution and shit. Like, who the fuck cares? And I find it funny that the same guys who are touting resolution were the same guys that just last year were saying resolution doesn't matter. How fucking hypocritical is that?
It's on both sides though, Tony. It is
because now I'm glad you said, because now the same guys who were saying resolution matter are saying it doesn't matter. Come on, man. Shit.
It's always gonna be that way, man. People are always gonna flip flop. Mine is better than yours. Mine is bigger than yours. Your girl's ugly. Look at mine. It's always gonna be that way. It's always gonna be that way. I got a Polo. Well, I got Tommy Hill. It happens everywhere, and it's gonna continue on. So I don't see this conversation ever ending.
Consistent about it. That's be consistent, man. I've been saying resolution doesn't matter for a while. I remember I wrote because when the Tomb Raider, right? Not the first Tomb Raider, but the relaunch Tomb Raider was coming out on Xbox. It was like 900p or something. I wrote an editorial like, "Yo, that shit don't matter." People called me an Xbot, and I never even owned an Xbox in my life.
Are you serious? They called you Xbox for that?
Yeah. Like I was writing for Dual Shockers at the time, so maybe that's why. But I said like, "Yo, guys, that shit doesn't fucking matter. It's Tomb Raider. It's gonna be good on either console." "Oh, you're an Xbot. You're an apologist for Microsoft." I'm like, I've never owned them. At that point, I never owned one of these Microsoft consoles ever in my life. What are you talking about? And I still maintain that. It's like, no, guys, stop with the resolution bullshit.
Yeah. I often wonder, Tony, if these gamers understand what gaming's really all about. And
you know what? I'm glad you said that. Are they gamers?
Well, that's where I was kind of heading with this. Is like, we talked about gameplay being king. I mean, do you get it? Do you understand what gameplay really is? Because it's more than just resolution.
Man.
And I don't think they get it. And that's why there's games. I mean, some of the best games I've played this console generation have been indie games.
But
what
those
was it?
Don't count them apparently.
No, I mean they're great games. I mean, Inside, I mean, is one of the best games I've played this console generation. Firewatch is one of my favorite games this console generation.
One of my favorite is Uncharted. That is a indie game. No, I don't know. What a great indie game.
Yeah, right.
The Witcher 3.
Witcher 3. That's an awesome indie game.
That's technically an indie game. Even I'm like, you're backed by Warner Bros. I don't know about that, guys, but
well, did you hear the little thing? They said they're not making a patch for the Pro version.
Yeah. They're like, fuck you guys. So you know what I say? Get the PC version then.
Oh, the PC version of The Witcher 3 looks insane.
I have it. That came with my video card, actually.
It
pretty good. Yeah.
Oh, it looks so good. I'm jealous. I'm actually, all this resolution talk, believe it or not, is having me thinking about, you know what? Maybe I should dabble in PC gaming.
Yeah, man, I get it. Trust me.
It's great. I mean, if you get a good rig, the games are cheaper, right off the bat. So you can get some amazing deals for new titles.
Not new titles and deals. Old titles are more expensive on PC.
Yeah.
Well, it depends because I got Deus Ex, the new Deus Ex for $45.
Yeah, and how much is the old Deus Ex?
The old Deus Ex, like the original?
It's still fucking $20.
Oh, okay. Okay,
Is
it's
it 20
cheaper than
bucks?
60.
Yeah.
Damn.
Okay, Brett, I see what you're saying. Because I'm like, $20 is cheap, but it should be cheaper. I agree
Dude,
with you on
I
that.
can go to Vintage Stock, I can go to GameStock, I can go to any small time game retailer, and they will be selling that shit for like $5-7. Same shit with
Yeah.
Mass Effect, man. You can get both Mass Effects. Same shit with Dragon's Age. You can't catch up to the game's previous to Inquisition for less than like let's see. With all the DLC, you still pay like $20 per fucking DLC because there's no way around that. You can at least pick up the base games for about $5-7 a piece. But it's
Yeah.
still like if you want to I want to play all the Dragon's Ages before this, then it's like, $80. $120 if you're on PC.
That's crazy, man.
So I'm
Anyway,
not saying
yeah.
that PC isn't generally cheaper. There's the little addendum that like everybody seems to fucking forget. It's not in general always cheaper. It's
Yeah,
cheaper
unless
if
you get the Steam sale, then it'll be cheaper,
yeah, there's better bargains.
Yeah, there's a bunch
Yeah.
of bargains. Green Man Games, CDKeys.com. That's another great one. Get some good keys, cheap.
But yeah, I mean, it's funny, we're talking about like, gameplay because that is what matters. I mean, I've been playing a lot of fucking like retro games lately. They don't look as good as the new shits, but I fucking love them. They still hold up because the gameplay's there. Are you going to be able to say, this shit about the games that we have now 10 years from now? I don't think so.
Well, it hasn't really changed. The games look prettier and they're more elaborate, but the gameplay is pretty much the same. I mean, that's what VR is, right? Isn't that what everyone's waiting for? The big change?
Yeah, but even that, I can't speak about that right now, actually. But yeah, even that I'm still kind of skeptical about. But we'll see. But anyway, let's move on here. So we got some news here. So Destiny: Rise of Iron came out this week. Thankfully, Enrique, you're here to talk about it because none of us have played it. So what's your take on it so far?
I think he stepped away from it.
Oh, did he step away? Did he say anything? Yes, he did. God damn it! All right. Okay, I'll vamp for a little bit because I did have to play Destiny again. There you are. Hey, okay, I'll tell my story real quick. So I got back into Destiny because I had to do it for work, right? Because they're like, "Hey, Tony, you're the gaming guy here. You play." I'm like, I haven't played Destiny in 2 years, but fuck it, I want money. So I played, for 2 nights because what happened is they wanted me to play Rise of Iron. I couldn't play it, right, because I wasn't high enough level, and I was level 20, so I had to grind up and stuff. So I'm playing it. I kind of just gave up. I'm like, I'm never gonna get to fucking level 40 with this fun game. And the funny thing is, Enrique, I know you kind of disagree with this, but to me, because everybody's like, it's changed so much. It's the same fucking game. Like, to me, it hasn't changed at all. I'm like, yep, I'm playing some, okay, this is why I stopped playing fucking Destiny. This is exactly why I stopped playing this fucking game. There's there's little story, and it's just a grind fest. Just go there, kill shit, grind, Anyway, what's your take on Rise of Iron, dude?
All right, so it's so I'm trying to figure out where to start here because there's a lot. If it's not as big as with Rise of Iron, you're not seeing a change, a fundamental change at least that you saw with the Taken King with this game. It's pretty much taking everything they did with Taken King and just kind of put a new story into it. And with Taken King, they changed a lot of the way you leveled up. They changed the lighting system, with the lighting system and with the weapon upgrades and everything. And so it doesn't. I obviously there's still that element of grinding this game, but it's not as bad as it used to be because you can level up pretty quickly. And we saw that in the Taken King. You're seeing it I'm just seeing it with Rise of Iron. I came in, I think at my light was 295, and I'm a little bit over 320 right now, and I probably have put about 2 hours into the game, into Rise of Iron. So I mean, immediately you're getting weapons, you're getting drops, you're getting all these new armor pieces that are just boosting up your light right away.
Are they the same maps?
Yeah, I mean, you're going back in this particular DLC. You're actually going back to the Cosmodrome. I mean, that's where most of the action takes place. And it's interesting. I mean, I know, Tony, you mentioned that you didn't feel like Destiny had much of a story, and it didn't. I mean, Destiny did not. I mean, it had a story, but you had to go looking for it in the beginning.
Yeah,
You know,
or go to Destiny's website.
Exactly.
Yeah, so stupid.
Follow the links.
Yeah, and you had to read the Grimoire cards, which I mean, I took the time to do it because I'm kind of a, I don't know, I like anything science fiction or fantasy like that, like I dig, but it is a little bit of work, and with Taken King, they really focus more on the storytelling and the narrative, and they do that with Rise of Iron, but yeah, I mean, you like, I'm definitely like, I definitely like what I'm playing so far. They didn't really change anything where I feel like, I wish they would have not changed this, or I wish they would have improved this. I mean, it's still pretty much the same game that we saw from the Taken King, but just a different story now. The one thing I'll say about Destiny is I almost feel like when they originally presented the game that there was a certain level of exploration that I think a lot of people thought it was going to have that it still doesn't have. Like, we're still kind of confined to like the Milky Way, our galaxy. There's Mars, there's Venus, there's Earth, there's the Moon. But I mean, we went to Mercury. I think with I don't know if it was the House of Wolves. I think it was the House of Wolves went to Mercury. But but that's it. I mean, I was under the impression that we'd be able to go a little bit outside and maybe explore other galaxies, but that hasn't been the case. So yeah, I mean, you go back to the Cosmodrome. You're playing against familiar enemies, the Cabal, the Fallen. Oh shit! Now I'm forgetting stuff. Because I've had too many beers. That's why.
The robots, right? What are they called?
Robots.
That's the Cabal. The robots are the Cabal, I think. No,
I don't know, but because I know they had the robots, they had those other dudes, and they had those other dudes.
Yeah, no, but I'm thinking about there's the Fallen, the Cabal. There's the guys that are like the dark ones. The what are they called? Like Oryx and all that other shit. I don't know why I'm forgetting this.
It's been 2 fucking years since I played this shit. Yeah. I know what you're talking about, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those like big dudes, right? Whatever.
Yeah. But it's still, Tony, and I know you had an issue with the you said you went to the postmaster and that level 40 like engram, whatever it was.
Yeah, that shit is not there.
Yeah, it wasn't there. So I've heard other people say that, but I was playing with this guy HDK, and he was like 195 light, and he got the little engram and boosted up to level 40 and boosted his light up, and we just ran with it, man, and it was just easy to get into, and so that's probably one of the things that I like about Rise of Iron, that if you haven't been grinding on Destiny, or if you've never played it, you could probably pick this game up and get into it right away. Which I thought was pretty cool.
Unless you're me, because that was my whole thing. I'm like, let me get in there, play some Rise of Iron, write about this shit, and it's like, nope, you can't get to level 40, buddy. You got to grind your ass.
Yeah, you got to get that. You got to get that boost, man. That's what you need. You got to get. But I don't know what's going on.
But I'm also thankful I don't have to do that, because I played Destiny like crazy for a month until I realized what the fuck it was, and then after that I played Division. I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna play any more of these multiplayer only games ever again. This is some bullshit, Yeah.
I will say this though, Tony, the end of the main campaign, the last boss battle, is probably one of the best like campaign boss battles that they've put out.
Is it like, it's not just like, hey, this guy has a super extra long health bar, you just got to whittle it down?
No, it's not. It's not. And it's not. And I think what they're doing, and they did this with the Taken King, there were certain parts of the campaign, the Taken King, that kind of like gave you little like little pieces, little nuggets of what the raid was going to be like, and gave, like, remember with the raid, or especially with Crota, like with that, they gave you the swords. You got to, like, you were using that in the campaign, and that actually ended up being used in the actual raid itself. There's certain things in the campaign, certain things that you do, certain weapons you use that I think you're probably going to end up using in the actual raid, which I think comes out this weekend. But so I really like that, and the last boss battle was actually pretty cool. And the one thing I like about Rise of Iron is that it ties in the story of the kind of the Iron Banner and I think they're called Iron Knights. Ah, shit, I'm drawing blanks now. That's what happens when I have too many beers.
Just beer, man. You a lightweight.
Dude, I'm telling you, Tony, I'm a lightweight, man. You know what happens when you have like 3 kids and you don't go out anymore, you know?
I guess you're out of practice, you know.
I got that, man.
Yeah, you're out of practice, exactly, you know? So, but there's almost like it ties in the golden age and gives a little more insight into the golden age. When the Traveler came and man was like, when the Traveler was terraforming all these planets like Saturn and man was, making all these great creations and then the main protagonist in this case is Siva, which is like this AI that man tried to control that was developed to like help man create these like new these new worlds or these new form these new technology, and it kind of basically like becomes like self-aware. And
so does this start with like a video cutscene like this, or did you have to follow a link to the website?
No, there's an opening cutscene where you see like kind of like the last battle of the original Guardians, who are the old the old Iron Knights, and it's almost like it kind of reminds you of like King Arthur, the Knights of the Round Table a little bit, and so you see that like last battle of this like mysterious virus. This it's like this like nanotechnology called Siva, and it's like the Guardians are trying to fight it. It's taking over, and at the and you see like all the Guardians die, and basically there's like the one Guardian left, and that's it. And that's kind of how the story or the DLC the campaign starts out. So I mean, I'm liking it so far. I mean, I don't play Destiny like year round because, like you said, Tony, it does become a little bit of a grind. Like I love the raids, but after I get the raid gear, it's like, okay, I don't know if I want to play.
Yeah,
because there's so much other shit out there to play.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because I see the same dudes on my PSN just playing Destiny. They haven't stopped playing Destiny. I'm like, they make other video games out there, right? It's like these dudes who play Madden and COD all year.
There is no other game other than Destiny. What are you talking about?
I have a few of those just in Division. I have 3 or 4 guys on my list. That's all they play. That or Rainbow Six Siege. But that's still that multiplayer aspect. Some people are just into it. If you have your crew of buddies, and let's say you live in different states like we do, or things going on, and be like, hey, 8 o'clock, let's just get on and just run around and shoot shit.
Yeah.
So I could see that.
But but I'm enjoying it, and I've enjoyed the only Destiny DLC I didn't enjoy was the House of Wolves. I thought it was pretty bad. I didn't care for that.
That's actually the one I'm playing through right now.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, the Dark Below was good, but I think the Taken King and this one, the more recent stuff, has been the best work they put out, and it's not easy doing what they're doing. And Bungie is consistently challenging themselves to make the game accessible to other people, not kind of close itself to just the Destiny community. So I'm sure that poses a challenge within itself, but I'm enjoying it. I really like it. It's the narrative's there, the story's there, and it's cool too because if you started playing Destiny year one, you remember a lot of those weapons were named after like old Guardians, and now you're seeing somebody you're starting to see some of these the Guardians and who they are, and that's kind of cool. Because it kind of ties into that a lot of the year one stuff that was in the game. So
awesome. All right, I'm glad you were here to tell us about Destiny, man. Because none of us, played that Rise of Iron shit. So
and it's interesting because like most of us don't really like Destiny in Throwdown.
Yeah,
but it's like the most popular game.
I know, man. I think it was last year. I was like, fuck, I guess we got to talk about Destiny because we like there was a new DLC that came out. We didn't talk about it that week, and then our fans were like, "Why were you talking about Destiny?" I'm like, "Do you not listen to the show? Like, we don't like this game." But this year, I'm like, okay, we need to fix that, because like you said, Carlos, it's a big game for whatever.
I had buddies convince me to get Taken King, and I jumped on and I played some of it, and I'm like, this is the same shit. It's like it looks a little better, and there was a little bit more of a tie-in with the story, but besides that, I don't know. I just lost interest.
Yeah, see, but the leveling up was so much better than the Taken King. They really did improve that, you know. But
I agree with you on that. Yeah,
the grind is still there, but it's not as bad as a grind, and you actually get stuff now that you could actually use. Where I think year one you would get stuff, and I remember like year one, I'm like, oh my god, like why are they giving me this shit? This is terrible. I can't even use it, you know. And they've definitely improved on that, but I'm really, you know, I'm actually really excited for Destiny 2. I think that you know, as they kind of progress, move along with this game, they're taking a lot of the lessons, and they're going to put that in Destiny 2. And from what I've heard, that you know, they're going to be focusing a lot on presenting a better narrative with Destiny 2. So I'm looking forward to it. You know, Bungie has something, and I'm. Despite its issues, I think Bungie still has something pretty big here, something special.
Yeah, well, hopefully, I mean, there's definitely a lot of potential there. I just hopefully, you know, they'll capitalize on it for the sequel, you know, whenever that's going to come out. All right, so let's move on here. Some more news. So this is an interesting one. So apparently earlier this week, Michael Pachter, he was doing an interview with the Daily Star or something, some British rag, right? There's a reason I call him a rag, right? And apparently he said that PC gamers are like racists. Like apparently they only, you know, play, you know, stick with themselves. They talk down to others and shit. They're like, you know, they're like racist, and obviously everybody went crazy. Like why would Michael Pachter say that? Guess what? Turns out he actually didn't say that. They misquoted him. You know, it's crazy. It's like, why would he say something like that? But at the same time, there must have been a kernel of truth there. Not with the whole racism thing, but the whole, you know, he may not like PC gamers as much as others, you know, because he, you know, you could tell he wasn't a fan of that, you know. So what do you guys think of the whole, you know, Michael Pachter racist thing? To me, it was crazy. I'm like, why would Michael Pachter say some shit like that, you know?
You know,
because it's
go ahead.
partially true.
Huh? Carlos?
It's not far from the truth. PC gamers are super elitist. It's just,
yeah,
maybe it wasn't a good idea for him to say that.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't say that, but I think what you just said is probably what he said. Like, oh yeah, these guys are elitists or something. But
what happened was he was steered into that response. Yeah. The guy asked him what PC gamers are like, and he said it's kind of like a cult. You know, they stick to their own and stuff. And he's like, can you elaborate? And eventually he made an offhand joke, and it's like they're kind of like racist. They're their own, you know. And I mean, he was making a joke, but that's what they quoted. Like, oh,
of course,
racist, you know. And the Daily Star has a terrible reputation in England. They've been sued.
Yeah, they've been doing it for against footballers forever.
Yeah, and then I like what Michael Pachter said. He was like, if you look at there's one part where I called them twits. I'm like, I've never used the word twit in my life.
Essentially, he said they were a bunch of twits, that they were a bunch of racists.
They say twits in America, don't they? Twits? Who the fuck uses that shit?
You an idiot. You're a twit. I'm Michael Pachter. I'm going to go back to my flat.
Oh, my God.
And put my effects and pick up some of my effects and use my router.
My router.
With the Wi-Fi.
My router. Hello.
But I do kind of understand the sentiment, not the whole racism thing, obviously, but the whole fact that some of these guys they're called the master race for a reason, right? As a matter of fact, they call themselves that. You know,
I've not had any issues with anybody on Steam. Like, I've jumped into the forums and I've bitched about certain things, stuff. But I mean, the most when you start playing with them, they're like, "What's your rig?" You know, and then you start reading off the specs.
Guys are already on Steam. Go to a place where the console gamers and PC gamers congregate, like just a general gaming forum, and tell them I prefer to play on console, and see how much great response you'll get there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw some tomatoes at you.
You wanker.
You wanker.
Hey, Brett, you have any
This is totally Michael Pachter talking to you right now.
Brett, do you have any crazy stories about PC gamers just being crazy to console guys? I'm pretty sure you do.
Oh, I mean, it's just kind of the norm, honestly. Like I unsubscribed from PC Master Race on Reddit because it was just fucking toxic. They're just all like it's obviously like some people take it as a tongue-in-cheek joke kind of thing, and then some people don't understand that it's supposed to be a joke kind of thing, and progressively it gets taken more and more seriously until it's but like the war, but like the disdain between Xbox and PlayStation fans or PS ponies or whatever you call them is nothing compared to the disdain PC players have for console gamers. It is just, I don't know, man. It's a culture born out of hate, and it continues to hate.
I don't know. I always saw the PC elitists more of just people who look down upon you, but I never really experienced like those types of fanboys like coming into the console wars, you know. They always kind of were dismissive.
I've experienced those guys. Now they don't bother me anymore for some strange reason, but I always had to deal with these idiots too, you know. They were, but now I have British Michael Pachter stuck in my head. They were coming after me pretty hard. They were. Yeah, no, those guys exist, man. They could be assholes. Like, oh, you're playing on a console. Like you could tell them you want to vomit. You know,
they laugh at us because we get excited when we have 30 frames a second locked and no drops. Like, really?
I'm pretty sure Michael Pachter hates PC gaming because he can't predict anything.
Oh shit!
Can't predict anything on consoles.
Oh man, see, I don't want to go too hard on Michael Pachter because I actually like the guy. Like every time I see him at an event, we always fist bump each other and stuff. But at the same time, you've been kind of wrong, Michael Pachter, a lot. I'm just saying, we on Throwdown have been more right about shit than you have. Just saying.
I make fun of that dude all the time because I just feel like he's got.
Manny, what's your name for him?
Oh, I mean, I don't know.
Captain Obvious, remember?
Yeah, Captain Obvious, but I mean, that's for everything. But like, I feel like with him, it's like that's his game. See, he's figured out how to make money by telling people the things that are totally obvious because they're stupid. Come on, if you're Grandpa Moses investor, it's like, I heard that video games are really profitable. Can you tell me which games I need to invest into?
Oh my god!
Well, maybe if you decide to go into Destiny.
You sound like George Bush.
Yeah. By the way, Tony,
it's like Destiny. I mean, it's George Bush / Bruce Campbell. Hey, how you doing? So, I hear that a game called The Witcher is a really good investment.
Yeah, Enrique, what were we gonna ask?
I was gonna say, you know what? It's Iron Lords. I was calling them Iron Knights earlier, but it's Iron Lords on Destiny.
Okay, yeah. Hey, we gotta correct each other on Throwdown.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that real quick.
Oh, yeah, I'm Michael Pachter. I am.
I'm Michael Pachter. I am.
What they should have done is cut together Peter
Show your
Molyneux
shoes,
quotes
Governor.
and said they were Michael Pachter quotes.
Yeah, exactly. Peter Molyneux quotes. It's going to be the greatest game ever. You could plant a seed and grow into a tree.
He has grim views on the NX too. He was talking about the Nintendo NX. If it comes in at what I think he said $399, it's dead.
I could agree with that.
It won't come that high.
He said if it comes between $199 and I forget what else he said, it's probably okay.
It'll probably be
the
300.
things I agree with Michael Pachter on, that's actually what he's saying about Nintendo. I agree with him on that shit. It's like you should have released the Wii U way earlier. You shouldn't have had that shit come out so late.
Yeah.
What the fuck's going on with the NX, man?
Nobody, man. I don't know.
Ubisoft's hot on them. They're hot on it.
Oh,
they like it.
Yeah, you heard about that, right?
Yeah.
Ubisoft, like,
But
hey,
then
man,
that could be just blowing smoke. I mean, maybe they don't even know.
That's blowing smoke. If you read what Gilmour said, he left himself a wide door. He basically compared what they're doing now to experimentation like they did with Zombie U. He's basically blowing off Zombie U that it was like an experiment, that they're treating it like a test bed.
Oh shit!
And what he's only saying that, but he's like, what if things don't work out, we go back to the established, the established setting, which means if it doesn't work out, you're back to Sony and Microsoft. You're going to put your flagships on there. You're not going to give it to Nintendo, right? You're just dipping your toes in the water. Let's see how it does. So they're willing to do that, whereas EA and Activision aren't willing to do that. They're not willing to make a launch game for them.
It costs too much.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on here. So this is a funny one. Manny, I know you have some thoughts on this. So Hideo Kojima and Shinkawa is Yoji, right? Yoji Shinkawa. Yeah, they were asked what they think about Metal Gear Survive, right? Where was that? Tokyo Game Show.
Yes, because it was a Q&A session at the Sony booth.
So Manny, what did they think of Metal Gear Survive?
Well, essentially they said that it's not a Metal Gear game. That in Kojima's words, it's a they asked him if he had anything to do with it, and he said no, it's absolutely nothing. He's nothing left over from cut content or anything like that. And same thing with Shinkawa. Mm-hmm. And the first thing they said, he's like, they're like, what is that anyway? Zombies in Metal Gear, he's like, Kojima was like, well, Metal Gear is the main story of Metal Gear is about espionage, hidden truths in government, stuff like that, stealth, all that sort of stuff. And he's like, where do zombies kind of fit in that sort of thing? And then Shinkawa says, he's like, if I were involved in this game, there would probably be an actual Metal Gear robot in the trailer. And then he says, remember the last time there wasn't a Metal Gear in a game? Oh yeah, that thing for that game that came out for the Famicom.
Yes.
Essentially, the Nintendo version of Metal Gear 1 did not have a Metal Gear in it.
Yeah,
you fought a giant computer.
How about a zombie robot?
Yeah.
Oh shit!
It's definitely it's obvious that they were being a little bit trolly on that situation because they knew
looking for the name.
But it's the thing is that is the best way to do these sorts of things is to check to. Whenever you decide to go, whenever a new company takes over from a new company or new developers take over from the last guy, they always have to ride that line, between past and future, cherishing what happened in the past, but also trying to create something new. And I feel like the biggest issue with Metal Gear Survive is the fact that it is totally a different direction. Yeah. It doesn't say Metal Gear game, even though it has the controls of a Metal Gear game.
That's crazy.
So yeah, it's a silly thing that they decided to say on there. But there's also the funny thing about their quote though is that there's also differing translations of it. So that's the one funky thing about Japanese is that there's no solid way to say certain things. So it's either like one way of translating it makes it sound a little bit more PC. There's another way that just sounds really just like a slap in the face.
Yeah, and I'm glad you say that because I'm going to now translate what Kojima really said. They asked him, hey, what do you think of this game? He's like, it looks like fucking bullshit. That's what it looks like. That's what he said. I know Japanese people, I'm telling you. He said this is a bunch of bullshit. This ain't my Metal Gear. These motherfuckers are spitting on it. That's what they're doing. Fuck Konami. That's what Kojima said. Quote me.
It's really sad if this is going to be the pattern and we're just going to look back years later and we're like, yeah, remember that last Metal Gear? It's like, it was never the same.
Oh, Metal Gear is dead to me already, man.
Yeah.
Like that. It's funny. We actually have a very interesting question about Metal Gear, but we'll save that for the question show, But we actually have an interesting question. Not question here. Let me scroll up a little bit. One of our guys here, he said, do you think that this is interesting? Do you think Sony and Nintendo are in cahoots to destroy Microsoft? I don't know about that, bruh.
No.
Yeah, Chris Jordan said that. What's up, Chris? I don't know. Nah, they're not in cahoots,
Nope. There's a lot of hate between those two.
Yeah, I mean, okay, don't get me wrong. Japanese people like to stick together, but Sony and Nintendo, they don't like each other, especially after that bullshit Nintendo pulled, when they went to Philips CDI instead of with Sony,
Yep.
Trust me.
That's why we have the PlayStation.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
There's two reasons why we have the PlayStation.
I'll get into the second reason why I was so fucking upset. The other night. Oh my god. So yeah, Nintendo and Sony, trust me, they don't like each other. Oh man. Okay, next up here. This is an interesting one too. So, okay, we all know that the PlayStation, actually consoles in general, not selling very well in Japan, right? It's just been slow and stuff. But this week, because they had Persona out, the new Persona, I think it's Persona 5, came
Persona
out
5.
and it blew the fuck up in Japan. Like, people were actually buying PlayStations. Number one selling console. It sold 94,000 consoles. Tells it doesn't sound like a lot, but in Japan, it's actually a lot, right? But the interesting thing is, right, I know some fanboys are going to get mad at us for saying this, PlayStation sold more in 1 week in Japan than it did during the entirety of its life cycle, than the Xbox did in its life cycle, like in Japan for 3 years. So in 3 years, Xbox One managed to sell 64,000 consoles. 1 week, PlayStation sells 94,000.
Damn.
Brutal, right? And by the way, this week, Xbox sold, I am not exaggerating, or whatever the opposite of exaggerating is. Usually you over-exaggerate. This
Minimizing.
is the real. Huh?
Minimizing.
Thank you, Brett. 154 consoles. 3 numbers.
That's
Just
been
putting that out there.
That's been a tough market for Microsoft.
Forever. The reason I want to bring this up, 'cause I think we've touched on it on Throwdown, but I want to do it again. Should Microsoft even bother with fucking Japan?
No, they last gen they went hard on trying to get at the Japanese market. They released the freaking
Blue Dragon. I
Blue
remember that was
Dragon,
a big one.
a Tales game, and Lost Odyssey.
Yeah, Infinite on Discovery. They
Star
tried.
Ocean,
Lost Odyssey was good.
They did all this shit, and Japan didn't go for it because of one little problem. It was made by the fucking Americans. It's like, it's an American console. They're like, fuck this shit. You know how the Japanese are,
They have that pride, man. They have pride.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny, even till this day, they still have that belief that Americans or Westerners cannot make good products. It's like, guys,
unless it's an iPhone.
Yeah, unless it's an iPhone, which is ironic, But somebody was telling me about that. I think it actually was my boss, Matthew. He was telling me, he thinks iPhones do well because they like mobile shit there, That and again, that's the reason why consoles are dipping down. But you're right, they like, I don't know. Japanese are just weird because they like some aspects of Western culture, but they don't like Westerners. It's weird,
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
Japan, but yeah, there you go. I just had to bring that up. I found that very interesting. It's like, damn, it's like 1 week, it has more sales than Xbox did during its entire life.
Yeah,
Madness.
maybe Microsoft is maybe just focused on North America and Europe, and then that's it, maybe.
Yeah, Daniel Lawson says they're racist. hey, listen.
He's not far off.
You're actually right.
They're very nationalistic.
Yeah, that shit's never gone away. By the way, Daniel said that for some reason Twitter made him unfollow Throwdown and me. I think I said, I'm like, why did Daniel unfollow me? Did I say something against Microsoft and he just stopped following me? Apparently, because Twitter has those farts every once in a while where it just unfollows people, I don't know. So glad you're back in the fold so I can piss you off. All right. And the last thing here, I threw this in here specifically for the fans if they wanted me to talk about this, even though to me, I'm like, who the fuck cares? But hey, I'm here to please, right? So Geoff Keighley has a new weekly show that's starting next week. It's going to be called Live with YouTube Gaming, the most generic fucking title out there.
I have a theory behind that, but continue.
Okay, my thing is, why do people still care? Like, don't let me wrong. Geoff Keighley, I give him respect for what he does. I just don't like what he does. It's too milk toast to me. It's too boring. You know what I'm saying? Like, that guy is like the safest dude out there. He will never say anything. I doubt Geoff Keighley's not going to be cursing, man. This thing's going to be slick and polished and all that. He's going to be very sanitized, And again,
he's a corporatist. He's going to try to appease the people who pay for his shit, and he's going to try to be PC, like, to get advertisement and stuff. We made fun of him back in the day, and we still do because of
the
the
X-Play.
Mountain Dew.
On X-Play for a little bit when
he was the Doritos Pope. He was on an X-Play. He was on G4. That's what he was on.
Yeah, but then they tried to get him on there. They put him on a few shows. He was also on one with 2 girls. Remember that?
I remember that. Yeah, but
He's the Ryan Seacrest of gaming.
oh yeah. Him, Ryan Seacrest, and fucking Carson Daly. They're the same dude to me. You know?
Hey, Carson Daly did TRL, man. I give him props for that.
Well, that's what I'm
Tony,
saying.
they're
It's the
actually
same
guardians in the world of Destiny.
Oh, they're guardians. No, Carlos, he did do TRL, and then it's funny because I used to see him on TRL. I'm like, who is this dude? He fucking sucks.
And now he's making bank, man. He produces
the
the
Ryan
voice.
Seacrest. I'm like, hey, Ryan Seacrest and Carson Daly are like the same person. Then I saw Geoff Keighley, like, oh my god, it's the same fucking guy. You know, TRL. Oh, don't get me started on that fucking show.
Terrible show, ruined MTV.
Yeah, that was like the last like death.
When they stopped playing videos.
Yeah, fucking bullshit. Carson Daly, I couldn't stand that fucking guy. You know,
Guy pulled a lot of the tail though. I give him his
Also
props.
Canadian, by the way.
Yeah, he is Canadian. Is Ryan Seacrest Canadian?
No, I don't think so.
Because there might be a pattern here, you know. But it's just these bland white guys.
What was that? The whole thing they said about the Marvel characters? Most of them are Canadian.
Oh, Marvel
characters from the movies.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I knew. Who else was Canadian? I know Cyclops was Canadian, right? I don't know. We're not going to get into that. We're going to go down a rabbit hole.
Wolverine, all of what is it? Alpha.
Yeah, Alpha Flight.
Alpha Flight. Yeah.
Here's my question: why do people still care about fucking Geoff Keighley? Like, why is he still a big deal? Is he just
do they care, or more like the industry cares? And they're like, you know what? You're our face. So.
You guys feel like he's kind of like the de facto face of the industry then? Like,
he is.
Yeah. That's not even what we think. That's just a fact. You know, you want something, you want a big thing.
You want somebody that's not offensive. Come on.
Right? MTV had him for a while for their multiplayer or something. What was it called?
Did they?
Yeah, they had their own show. It was like multiplayer or something like that, and he was their face because I remember he was doing videos and stuff for them, live streams during E3.
Well, didn't MTV produce the whole video game awards as well?
No, that was Spike.
That was Spike. Oh, okay.
Spike.
But yeah, he's always the go-to
That's all
guy.
Viacom anyway, so they're all the same.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, it's all the same.
Yeah, no, but every single time, like there's a big like something about gaming coming up. You're like hosted by. I'm like, here it comes, Geoff Keighley. I'm like, okay, there you go. But again, you want people like him and Ryan Seacrest and Carson Daly because they're not going to offend anyone. They're there to talk about the product but not draw attention to themselves. Yep. I guess that's a talent.
I said that a while ago, or like I said that on Twitter. It's like there's a reason why he exists. It's because you need, if it was just about a personality, everybody be concentrating on that. They're just looking. He is just the host. You know what I mean? He's just there to kind of present the thing. That's why if you remember any of those situations, like whenever those interview situations with Geoff Keighley, you never really remember what he says. The only time you ever remember when he starts poking, and he's never going to get anything.
Yeah,
he's like, oh wait, why did you give us an exclusive? It's like that's the only point where he ever interjects. But throughout the most thing, he just gets them started, and then they talk.
I mean, remember that, like, they even asked him, like, hey, what game did you like this year? And he's like, oh, they were all great games. They're like, come on.
It's very generic.
Yeah. And this guy has opinions,
Yeah,
but
the only thing that is he likes Metal Gear games.
Yes, that's the only thing,
Well, remember, if it wasn't him, it was Kevin Pereira. There's another one.
Kevin Pereira has a personality,
Pereira had a personality, and it came out when he was talking to Mr. Reggie Fils-Aimé.
Oh, I always remember that. Why are you always using Mario? What's with Mario? He's like, well, Mario's great, Mario. Yeah, but don't you want to like create other characters? But Mario is awesome. People want to see. He's like, yeah, but
totally put that man on the spot. And then I'm sure after that point, they're like, nope, we're not letting him talk ever again. Because I'm sure fucking Reggie was like, what the fuck was this?
Yeah, I saw him. Kevin Pereira is now a host on True TV.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Now that I think about it, didn't Geoff Keighley also push Reggie one time during a press conference?
Push him?
Like in an not physically, like in an interview.
He pushed him on the Game Boy Micro. That was when they introduced Game Boy Micro, and he really was pressing him on why this thing exists It's like, why would you make this? Like, why does this exist with the DS? And he kept pressing.
You do not question Nintendo.
Yeah, no, Reggie was getting visibly upset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, why don't you think this is awesome? How come you're questioning me?
I'm the Reginator.
You just buy it.
Just buy it.
Yeah. Well, this is I can't. I'm not surprised by this because YouTube launching the gaming channel to compete with Twitch. I mean, they got a big name now, so you can kind of be the brand spokesman now, if you will.
Yeah. Because if you're gonna get anybody, you got to get Geoff Keighley.
Yeah.
And by the way, I know why they didn't call it like Gaming with Keighley or any sort of goofball names. It's because he cannot commit to it. How much you want to bet in a few, like maybe you give it maybe a month or two, and Keighley's going to be gone, and it's going to be another person replacing him. Maybe one of those YouTube guys.
Might be you, Tony.
Yeah, right. They're not going to get me. I have too much of a personality. Plus, I'm Hispanic. They're definitely not going to get me.
Are you saying the industry is somehow racist?
It's very racist.
I like the Latino representation here tonight, though. I'll just throw that out there.
Man, we got 5 of us right here, man.
Yeah.
All I got to say is Throwdown is the Rainbow Coalition of podcasts.
That it is.
Where's Jesse Jackson?
Spanish for the rest of the night. Okay, so let's talk about some of these other guys that are going to be on the show. So, because it's going to be in season, so it's not going to be like every fucking week, So it says Geoff Keighley. I'm reading this from VentureBeat, by the way. In case somebody thinks I'm plagiarizing. Okay, so Geoff Keighley will host an hour-long show that will air live on YouTube Gaming and other top gaming channels. Maybe on Twitch, who knows? Featured YouTubers in season 1 include Matt Pat, quote unquote the game theorist. I has Cupquake, I Justine, Nade Shot, Angry Joe Show, and Unbox Therapy. So there you go.
I wonder if they're going
to. Yeah,
I was going to
say a personality though.
I wonder if they're going to censor him.
Yeah, right.
They're definitely going to. They have to censor him.
Yeah, Angry Joe has to talk without any curses now.
That's gonna be hard. That's gonna be hard for me to watch him do that.
And it's gonna be interesting with Angry Joe because he also doesn't. His comedy is very sketch comedy. It's very set up.
You're saying he's not spontaneous?
No. Well, most of those guys aren't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that whole Let's Play YouTube scene, man. I wish I would have gotten into that, man, because they're just raking in money.
Yeah,
because people just love watching other people play video games.
Exactly, man.
Listen, this is why I always say this is partly why everybody hates PewDiePie, because in the back of your mind you're like, motherfucker, I should have done that. But more power to them. They've tapped into that because Adam, like you said, your kids rather watch games, right? They don't want to play them.
Yeah, there's a lot of people also at my job though. Like there was this one guy, like we're all playing Uncharted when it first came out. We're talking about it, and then there's one guy, and he was just like, "Well, I just watch the videos. I'll just watch on YouTube. I'm not up to that chapter yet. What chapter you on? Oh, I'm on 7. I'll just keep watching. Don't you want to get it? He owns a PlayStation. He said, for what? If I could just watch it.
What?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
I don't even understand that. I can't wrap my mind around that. That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, I watch them. I watch them for walkthroughs if I'm stuck or something, but I don't sit there and watch. Yeah.
That's fine, but
like I've always watched videos if I want to get like, hey, how do I get this trophy? How do I get past this part? Right now, like, hey, let me sit here and watch this guy do every single little thing of a game. That's fucking crazy,
The craziest one I've ever watched was the one that's recent, the one from Doom, where the guy beat it on like hell level or something where you can't die and you have to play the whole game straight, and he was amazing. I've never seen anything like that.
Like speed runs and shit like that I could understand, but like you guys are like, hey, this is my first time playing the game. Let's play it together. I'm like, what? And they're going to be doing dumb shit too.
Man,
read these codexes and stuff.
Nah, man, and the worst ones are the ones like PewDiePie, man, when they just start fucking screaming.
Yeah.
Well, let's even dumb it down even more. What about unboxing videos? I mean, like, who would have thought years ago that would have been the thing? Like, damn, I want to watch someone open up a box.
Adam, you gotta chill with that, man, because that shit puts me to sleep, man. I don't need no freaking Ambien or anything to
He
get
will
me to sleep.
do it. What was that? I forgot. Damn, was it? It was some controller. It was for a controller, and the guy had like over 50,000 views, and it was just unboxing for a controller. I was like, what the fuck? I think it was for the Elite or something like that. I just couldn't believe it.
I'll tell you what, I can watch Jessica Nigri unbox all day.
Oh shit!
I'll leave it at that.
Oh man! All right, so let's start wrapping this up. Before we do that, let's talk about this week's contest. So we're gonna. This is for the for the MP3 guys. So you visual guys, nothing for you this week. So we're gonna play a clip from a game, and then you guys have to decipher it. But since we're adding it in the MP3 afterwards, we're just gonna be quiet for about a second. Okay, and there's you go. There's your song. Let me just add it in there somehow. But now I just realized, shit, I got to scroll through this whole episode to find that specific spot. Shit. Whatever. Anyway, so that's a Sega Genesis game that came out in America. That's the only clue you'll get. If you can't get it somehow, we'll make it a little easier on your questions, but hopefully you'll get it this time, right? Manny picked it.
I did. I'm gonna make it a little more easy for you.
Yeah, or you did make it easy because they already heard it. So yeah, you can win a copy of Console, which is a fantastic book. Now, as I'm gonna do until we run out of copies, I got 4 of these. I'm gonna tell you another story. This is the reason I was so fucking upset last night. So I'm reading this book. I'm up to the part where like Sega really shit the fucking bed. Okay, because we all know what happened. Well, maybe not all of us, but basically Nintendo was going to work with Sony, right, to make the Nintendo PlayStation, right? For whatever reason, they couldn't make it work. So Tom Kalinske, he was the head of Sega of America at the time. He's like, I'm snatching these dudes up. So he was talking to, think about this, Sega was talking to Sony about making a Sega PlayStation, right? And Sony was down like, yeah, man, let's fucking do it, But they couldn't work it out with Sega of Japan. Sega of Japan were like, no, we don't want to, like they worked for 6 months together, but they couldn't reconcile their differences because what happened is Ken Kutaragi, he wanted the shit to be 100% 3D. Sega of Japan wanted it to be 100, not 100%, but they wanted it to be a mostly dedicated 2D, a console, and they couldn't make the shit work, So, like, they fucked that up. And then after that, Tom Kalinske was like, okay, we couldn't make this shit work with Sony, but I want this Saturn to have really good shit inside. I'm going to go to Silicon Valley, go to Silicon Graphics Incorporated. I'm going to talk to these guys, because they made the chips that made like special effects and stuff, right? He goes to them like, yeah, we would love to work with Sega. As a matter of fact, we got some shit now that'll be perfect for home consoles. And it's not only is it powerful, but it's cheap. Like, great, let's fucking do it. He tells Sega of Japan this. Sega of Japan, no, we don't want to work with those guys. Like, just flat out rejected. I'm like, are you kidding me? And then guess what happens? Who does Silicon Graphics team up with Nintendo to make the Nintendo 64? Damn. It's like, Jesus, man. You had 2 opportunities and you fucked it up. And then to make matters worse, earlier in the book, right, Tom Clancy goes to Japan. They show him the 32X. And he's like, what the fuck is this shit? It's like, oh, yeah, it's going to be an add-on for Genesis. It's going to be great. And he tells one of his liaisons there, like, yo, don't make sure that shit never comes out. That's going to ruin us.
Oh, my God. Jeez.
Oh, man. So
32X.
Could you imagine if we had a Sega PlayStation? They would have fucking destroyed Nintendo, But no. Sega Japan had to be Japanese and fuck it all up, God damn it, man.
I miss having Sega as a console manufacturer.
Yes,
they came out with a lot of crazy freaking consoles. The Saturn. What was the other one that I used to play all the time? The Sega CD.
The Sega CD. It was an add-on to the Genesis.
Yeah, I remember getting the big box, and then later on they made that cute little compact version.
Yeah. Well, they made that one that was like the long ways version, and then there was the third one, which was the all-in-one. Which is the one that you had, but that broke like literally a week after you bought it.
Jeez. The Adam curse, man.
Fucking curse,
so,
man.
Yeah, you'll get to read more stories like that, in the book. It's fantastic. There's actually another story I want to tell you guys, right? The guy's name was Nielsen. He was basically Sega of America's marketing, global marketing manager, right? So his task was to go around the world and talk to people about Sega and stuff, right? So he went to Japan to talk to the main Sega Japan guys, right? And they invited him to dinner. And they were like, they were kind of giggling and stuff, like, hey, we'll order dinner for you tonight. And he's like, okay, sure, why not? And this entire time he was thinking to himself, like, why isn't Sega of Japan as big as Sega of America? Sega of America at that point, was about 50-50 with Nintendo. They caught the fuck up. They had a big market share, but in Japan, they were 15% market share at best. He's like, are the Japanese lazy? No, that's not it. They work really hard. Are they less talented? No, they're just as talented as we are. What is missing here, right? So, they bring his plate out, and it's fucking, I forget the name of the dish, but it's that poisonous fish.
I think it's
blue fish, that blue.
Yeah.
No, well, tell them a little more about it, what it is.
But it's that poison fish, basically. Basically, if you don't cut this fish a certain way, it could be very poisonous to you, right? So the Japanese guys, they're giggling like, oh yeah, the gaijin, let's see what happens. He's gonna check it out. He's like, okay, sure. There's a fucking hospital right down the block. I'll eat the fish. And the Japanese guys were like, wait, you're gonna eat the fish? And he's like, yeah, I'll eat the fish. So he starts eating the fish. He's like, hey, this is really good. You guys want to try it? He pushes the plate in front of them, and they're like, they like recoil in horror, like, no, we're not doing that.
Shit.
And then he was like, oh shit, I get it now. It's not that Japanese are like, it's not that they're less talented. It's not that they're lazy. It's just that they're more scared of losing than they are taking a risk of winning. Sega of Japan, of America didn't give a fuck. They just went for it. Sega of Japan, more conservative, which you still see today, So the book is just filled with crazy stories like that, man. It's great, But again, it's so frustrating. It's like, Sega, you could have fucking did it. You could have still been around today making badass. You could have been on the Sega PlayStation 4 by now, But nope, you had to fuck shit up. God
I mean, the
damn it.
Dreamcast, the launch lineup for the Dreamcast was amazing.
Yeah, and
buy their crazy
again,
taxi.
Man, frustrating. But that's pretty much it. So, Enrique, man, I hope you had fun tonight, man. It was definitely good having you. You fit very well into the podcast here.
Let me just tell you something, guys. I had a great time, man. Thank you guys for having me on. I really appreciate it. Had a wonderful time. Thank you.
Awesome. And please plug your stuff, man. Where can people find you? What do you do? All that shit.
Yeah, definitely. So, as you may have heard earlier, I have a podcast called the Basement Radio Arcade Podcast. We go live every Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we're actually going to podcast live tomorrow. We have a special guest. We have Greg Cassavan, who is a writer designer for Supergiant Games, the developer behind the games Bastion and oh shit, now I'm drawing a blank. Transistor, thank you. And so Greg's actually someone that he used to be the senior editor over at GameSpot. Like 14 years ago, I think it was.
I feel like everybody, at least in that industry, have worked at GameSpot at some point. You always hear it.
Yeah, so he was there like 14 years ago, and I was actually a community moderator, and that's how I know him. So I found him on Twitter and reached out to him, and so he's kind enough to join us tomorrow. We're going to talk about a little bit more about his background and hopefully talk about what they're working on right now, because they're working on a RPG right now. So we'll have them on, and that's 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. If you want to give me a follow on Twitter, you can find me. It's Enrique at AreezGamer. That's AreezGamer. And check us out on YouTube. Give us a thumbs up. Give us a sub. You can find us at YouTube at the Basement Radio Arcade Podcast Live.
Yeah, we'll have links for all that. And by the way, quick question: what the hell does Areez mean? Like, I had never understood that one.
So, all right. So, long story. I was a Xbox Live beta tester, and I was like, okay, I got to come up with a gamer tag. I didn't know what. Like, at the time, I was playing like first-person shooters a lot. I was playing Unreal on the PC. I used to do a little PC gaming back in the days. And I was like, all right, I think I got to think of something. And I went with like Marvel characters, but shocker, they're all taken at that point. And so I don't know. I was in college at the time, and I was reading some Greek mythology or something, or mythology, and Ares came up, the god of war.
Yes.
So I changed the spelling around. That's how I came up with the gamer tag.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What you mean Kratos is not the god of war?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Kratos is now the god of war, but no, that's how I came up with the name. I wanted something kind of like unique, I guess, and I was trying to be unique, and that's what I came up with.
The best gamer tag on Xbox is E.
Is E?
E. That's E. He's one of the engineers of Xbox Live, and it's just the letter E.
Nice.
That's it.
It's amazing.
Type in E, he comes up. No one else has a single letter as a gamer tag.
Nice.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, so let's wrap it up. So thank you for watching and listening. Make sure to follow the Coalition at thecoalition.com. Also help support the site by donating to the Patreon page. Subscribe to Throwdown on SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Throwdown Show. Links are available in the description below. Once again, our show is Tony Polanco, and it's run by Emilio Lopez,
I'll see you later, guys.
Chris Seeley,
Hey, take care, everyone.
Carlos Romero,
Peace out, everyone.
Breck Murdock,
It's the drill party, people.
Adam Vale,
FIFA comes out next week. Play it, The Journey.
and Mr. AreezGamer.
Gamers, game on.
Yes. All right, guys. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Later.
Peace.
Later, guys.
Deuces.